Alright, we're going to be making a bird point, small arrow point out of this flake here. This is some flake of, I guess it's heat treated Burlington chert. I picked it up at a nap-in, and a lot of people throw flakes like this away, and I don't. I'll actually go through the piles and pick them up, and this is what I use for making my points and making my hunting points. They don't have to be big to be effective. So we're going to use traditional tools today. I've got a deer antler here that I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how I make these arrow points and some of the techniques I use. So this one we've got, it's really got a pretty sharp edge on it. So first thing we're going to do is brush our antler against the edge here all the way down, so we dull this, thicken it up, and get it ready for our first series of flakes. This is, I guess, akin to abrading with an abrading stone, but I like to do this with an antler because it doesn't dull the flake as bad. Sometimes if you rub it with a grinding stone, you can really dull these edges to the point that they get so sharp or so dull that it takes a lot of force to get them to flake, and you can break these flakes in half pretty easily. They're usually pretty thin, so you want to use as little pressure as possible to get your flakes to pop off. Otherwise you run the risk of snapping this thing in half. Now if you notice, we've got it's pretty thin, but we got a really thick area right in here, and we need to get that off first. So first thing I'll do is come to this side, and I'm gonna rub down, just taking off some small flakes here, and getting this to have a platform on this side. It's beveled, and then rubbing it with the antler, and push in and then down. You can see that flake that came off of there. Do it again right next to it. What we're doing, we're sending these little flakes up over this bulb, this little bulb of percussion. So that's what we want off of there first. And we'll get another one off of there. And it's really thick in here, so sometimes I gotta come in on this other side. Now we've reduced it down quite a bit. Keep on going, get a little bit thinner. Every time I want to take a flake off, I'm rubbing this with this antler, both directions, because you want to round off this. You want to have a round surface where your flake is going to come off. Every time you take a flake off, you flatten that surface, and flakes don't like to travel over a flat surface. So you want to, every time you take a flake off, you need to kind of bite into that edge a little bit like that. And what you're doing is you're rounding it off so that your next flake removal will come off clean. Once you get a step fracture in there, you can end up stalled out. You won't be able to get your flake to go any farther. So we've gotten that. There's a few more. There's one right here that needs to come off. You can see right there. Push it in and down, and you can see the length of the flake that came off of that. So keep on going. I'm going to continue doing this. Now I'm going to flake down this edge. It's when you're doing small points like this, and you're using thin flakes, you want to use this pretty sharp antler or tool if you're going to use copper. You want a pretty sharp antler so that you can you don't have to apply as much pressure. You apply a lot of pressure. If you're using a dull tool, you really have to bear into these things, and that's when you end up breaking these things in half. A lot of people don't attempt these real small thin bird points because it's so precarious when you're working thin flakes like this. But you have to go slowly, you have to go carefully, but you can create some really exquisite points. And I think that the flint knapping market is just saturated with these monster blades. Everybody's whacking out these Clovises and Daltons and dovetails, and nobody's really given the bird point any thought. And so they're throwing away. I mean, I go to nap-ins and I can pick up hundreds of pounds of flakes that people thrown away, perfect for knife points or arrow points, which is what I use. I use arrow points for hunting. So they've done all the hard work. They collect the material, they spall it out, they flake it for you, they put it in perfect form, and then they throw it away just so they can get one point out of it. And I think if you become proficient at these really exquisite bird points, that's a part of the market that not many people have got much experience in as far as flint knapping. They always do the big stuff and never do the little stuff. And I've always liked these little points. I like how just exquisite and cool they are, and nobody really does them. So I found myself kind of falling in love with the bird point. You can see I'm getting that thing shaped down there. I'm going to shut the camera off and do some more edge work on this.